Hi folks, welcome to the big Celtic end of season quiz brought to you by the Celtic Exchange. I'm Tino. I'll be hosting tonight as we test a who's who of Celtic fan media on their Celtic knowledge. No pressure at all, lads. There's been no expenses spared on any sort of trophy this year, lads, and I literally mean no expense spared. But what we are doing is we're going to make a £100 donation on behalf of the winner to the charity of their choice. I'll give you a wee run through at the moment on the format for the quiz. So we'll be doing 3 rounds, a total of 24 questions altogether. Round 1 is the season that was, the 2023-24 season, as Celtic lifted the double. Round 2 will be Celtic in Europe, 6 questions there. And round 3, 6 questions on if you know your history. We very much want to encourage anyone watching the live to play along at home to see how you stack up against what is surely some of the greatest Celtic minds in the game. And what we'll also be doing is making a £50 donation on behalf of one of the viewers to the charity of their choice. All you need to do when making a comment in the live is put the hashtag Celtic Exchange, and that automatically puts you into the draw, and we'll draw that at the very end of the quiz. So let me start by introducing the guests who will be, on our behalf, they'll be summing up the 2023-24 season. They'll be telling us who their player of the season has been, and they'll also nominate the charity of their choice. I'll come to Scott first. Scott's from the Homeboy podcast. Scott, what's your take on the season that was?
It was murder at times. I mean, it wasn't a great season. It wasn't really an enjoyable season. Getting all the line makes it one of the best, and we'll talk about it for years. But it was chronic at times. You know what I mean? It wasn't a really massively enjoyable season. Maybe we kind of allowed ourselves to get caught up in the whole what's happening here, what's happening. But Brendan Rodgers proved himself at the end up. Our top players proved themselves at the end up, and we got it done. And I think a wee dagger's been stuck in their heart a wee bit more, and if that keeps happening, I'm on for that. You know what I mean? That's brilliant fun.
It was never in doubt, Scotty. Who was your main man over the campaign?
Right, I'd love to go and say Joe Hart straight away, just to kind of so I can get the wrong answer out straight away, because I'm going to do that repeatedly tonight. But no, Matt O'Reilly, a million miles. There's I mean, he even had that 2-month dip, and he was still head and shoulders above everybody. But I think Matt O'Reilly had one of these seasons. He had a Scotty Sinclair season. Scotty Sinclair's a smashing player. He was a great player. See his first season, amazing. Matt O'Reilly. I don't think Matt O'Reilly ever get a season like he did this year. Matt O'Reilly's a great player, but he was unbelievable this year. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And you know, and time will tell what he goes on to, but I don't think anyone, Scott, will argue with him being the main man for the season past. Scotty, what about your nominated charity? And I think you've got something you want to add to something I said at the intro.
Yeah, right. So my nominated charity is Medical Aid for Palestine. We kind of been pushing it recently, same as everybody else, now that we see what's happening, and that was our nominated thing. However, what we'd like to do is we'd like to match your £100 donation as well for the Homeboys, and so it'll probably go to one of your other guys' charities because there's no chance I'm winning. However, we're going to match it as well. All right, guys?
Brilliant gesture, Scott, and thanks for doing that. So £200 will go to the winner in their nominated charity. Dan, I'll come to you next. How was the season for yourself, and who was your main man?
It was a bit up and down, as Scott says. There were times when it seemed like the league we were going to win at an absolute canter, and then there was times when a lot of us, including myself, probably thought the league was gone. But I think it just sort of taught you not to ever write Celtic off. It's a bit cliche that people like Brendan especially come out and says that this is when Celtic comes to life, and the last 2 or 3 months of the season they showed that you don't write players like Cal McGregor off, and there's a lot of players you could choose from as a top man. O'Reilly's a great shout, but I think for a lot of reasons I would give it to Joe Hart. I think his performances in the second half of the season were right up there, and not only that, I think that his announcement about him retiring and leaving the club, it felt like it gave the team something more to rally for as well, and they all seemed to get behind him and push in that direction. And I think you've seen with the way the support reacted to Joe Hart in the last few games of the season, what he meant to the fans, and he's spoken often about how much the club's meant to him. So Joe Hart for me.
Yeah, do you know, we mentioned Joe Hart, I don't know, March time or whatever, and it's always bizarre to nominate a goalie, generally speaking, particularly in a season where you've gone and won the double. But I think you're right, Darren, just in terms of Joe Hart making that announcement mid-February, something like that. It was a fairly sticky spell for the club, and I think it just galvanised the boys, and they've got various motivations, of course, they have, but I think one of the drivers was, let's make sure this guy goes out in the highest of highs. So, no, a great shout there. Darren, what would be your own nominated charity?
So many to choose from, especially I'm sure every charity, whatever one gets it, will be very deserving. I'm going to go for Bliss, which is a charity for babies that are born premature and sick. So my wife's a neonatal nurse, so it's something that I hear about quite often. So if I win, I'd love to be able to donate that to them.
Great stuff, Darren. A good choice. Paddy, I'll come to you next. Paddy, you need no intro, at least not to me. Obviously, you're part of our show and what we do at the Celtic Exchange. What was your own take, though, Paddy, in the season? And remind me, your own main man.
Yeah, I think I was on record saying it's one that I'll be happy to forget. I think it was a tough one to watch, and I know I'm probably coming from a generation that's been fairly spoiled in terms of what we've done and what we've won over the last 20 odd years. But for me, I think that there was a lot of issues off the park, which we're seeing slight progress in correcting that, but still some questions to be answered there. For me, it would be Matt O'Reilly as well. With Scotty on that, I think he was instrumental in basically our opening season form, where nothing was really clicking for us. There was poor performances, but he was plotting out some incredible goals. I think back to the ball through the game against Hearts at Tynecastle in October. Just some of the through balls he was playing there, and some of the goals he was scoring around that period. Massive goals for us, and then the late winner against Motherwell as well. So he's really stood out for me this season. He was a player that I had a lot of criticism for last season. So I'm glad he's come in and really proved me wrong.
Yeah, massive season for him. Paddy, what's your own charity of choice should you be the winner?
Yeah, I love the work that the guys in Lanarkshire do, North Lanarkshire, Chris's house. So they've been about for a number of years now, but they're small in what they do, but they're really looking to help younger adults, predominantly male adults that are dealing with mental health issues, drug issues, and really just putting themselves out there to show that there is another way, there's another option, and that there's always help available regardless of what's going on. So they do great work. I know actually a few friends that have used their services as well, and just seeing the night and day for those guys has just been absolutely brilliant to see. So a continuation of something like that's only a good thing.
Yeah, great shout, Paddy. Ryan, I'll come to yourself. Ryan, you've got a few different guys. You're certainly the host of the Sellick the Thunder podcast. A lot of folks here will know you as Ryan118 on YouTube. So thanks for joining us. Ryan, your own take on the season?
Pleasure. Thanks for having me. Well, if anybody that watches my channel knows, they'll know I'm a Brendan Rodgers mega fan, if you like. I was delighted to see him come back. Not as delighted with how the season started, and it was a slow burner, as we all know, but I was never in doubt at any moment that we'd get the job done. I think it was just about finding that rhythm, and it did take us some time, but you know, the quality in our team is just, you know, it's inevitable at times, the likes of O'Reilly, Kyogo, everybody else in there. So, you know, despite it being a bit of a dire one at times, and one that was a wee bit tough to get through, I'm certainly delighted with the final result. I think a double is a great reflection on a first season for Brendan Rodgers. So it's all about building for it now. I think we're due a big summer, and hopefully the next time it's a treble he's walking it with instead of just the 2 trophies.
Yeah, I'll take the treble. Who was your main man, Ryan?
Well, look, listen, the correct answer is Matt O'Reilly, innit? Because it's just how good he's been. But just a lot of what Darren was saying a moment ago, and if people have been watching the Celtic the Thunder, they'll know that my opinion is that Joe Hart is the guy I'd give it to. Joe, for me, is just somebody who, similarly to what Paddy was saying with Matt O'Reilly, getting those performances, giving us those performances in games where the rest of the team weren't exactly pulling their weight. Joe Hart made some big saves in some big games. You know, it was a number of times I remember sitting at Parkhead and thinking, you know, he's saved us points. You know, it could have been a draw, it could have been another loss on the cards for us at certain points of the season, and Joe Hart made some huge saves. So despite, I think, Matt O'Reilly being the correct shout, I think that Joe Hart, especially in his farewell season, deserves his flowers, and I'll give it to him.
Yeah, we'll go for that. So at the moment, we're going to each Joe Hart and Matt O'Reilly.
Interesting.
Ryan, what's your own charity should you be the big winner?
So I'm going with a charity that the Celtic the Thunder raised a bit of money for late last year. I'm going for Chaz Children's Hospices across Scotland, who I'm pretty sure most folk will be familiar with being quite a a nearby cause, obviously looking to fund a lot of the hospices to help end-of-life care for some families in some horrid, unfortunate situations. So, yeah, gone for Chaz.
Great stuff, Ryan. Paul John, welcome. I think this is your debut on the Celtic Exchange. You and I have known each other for a while now, but your debut, so welcome onto the show. What's your own chat from last season?
No, thanks for having me. An absolute pleasure, Tino. I think last season, just like all the guys have said, I thought Brendan Rodgers pulled a rabbit out of the hat. I think there was a situation there where he was, given a group of players that not necessarily were his, and we lost a lot of quality that we didn't replace. Obviously, the Abada situation. How do you deal with that? That's a difficult situation to deal with. VAR and the officiating, which we have dedicated hours and hours to on a Celtic State of Mind. And then, of course, the ultras getting locked out. Loads of things happening. And Brendan Rodgers was able to, I think there was a moment where he had a wee inner sanctum, and he just tapped into that winning mentality of a very small group of players, and it got us through. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a wee bit more plain sailing next season, Tino.
Here's hoping. Ryan's gets down for a treble, so we're looking forward to that. What's your own pick? So we've got 2 for Matt Riley, 2 for Joe Hart at the moment. Are you going to go somewhere different, or has it got to be one of those guys?
Matt Riley was outstanding, wasn't he? I think you've got to mention Joe Hart because, as Ryan was saying earlier, some of the games, you go back to the St Johnstone game, quite a few Rangers games, where he's pulled saves off that really have, resulted in us getting the result. I think he would get my second spot, and Liam Scales would get my third spot,
Liam Scales, a worthy mention for Liam Scales. And we don't have enough time, too much going on today to discuss Liam Scales, but he deserves real credit, I think, for what he brought to the party. And your own charity, Paul John?
There's a wee fella called Jamie Tierney. He lives 5 minutes away from myself, 6-year-old Duchenne muscular dystrophy. His mum and dad wake up every day knowing that every week they need to raise an extra 1,200 quid a week for the next 20 years just for the treatment for this wee boy. It's never going to get any better, but they can improve the quality of his life, obviously, with some of this treatment. He has to go to Colombia, Dubai, all these different places. It's not available in the UK. And as Scott said, absolutely brilliant gesture for Scott. We'll do the same. So we'll throw 100 quid into the pot as well, Tino.
Brilliant. That's a class gesture. Thanks to yourself. Thanks to Scott. So £300 up for grabs for the winner. Quinny, the pressure is on. Welcome to yourself, Quinny, as well. I think you're representing Celts are here this afternoon. So thanks for joining us. What was your own take on 23-24?
Well, I would echo what everyone else has said here, but I do think it was a bit of a throwback season in the sense that, throughout, especially over the last 20, 30 years, we've had some pivotal managers and squads, but there's always those kind of periods where you're moving from O'Neill to Strachan and Strachan to, Mowbray Lennon and, so on and so forth. And those seasons and those kind of little periods do get forgotten, how quickly the league can almost slip from your fingers and a few other different bits and bobs. So it was definitely a roller coaster, as kind of everyone else has said. But it was a wee bit of a cold shower for a Celtic fan. You know what I mean? Just reminding yourself, just quickly, it doesn't matter how far ahead we kind of are. It's gone like that if you take your eye off the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Main man for you?
Again, I would just absolutely copy and paste what Paul John said, to be honest with you. So I think it divides a lot of the fans, of course, but Scales has to get a mention for me. And this chat, O'Reilly's going to be the right answer as well. No, 18 goals, 16 assists in League and Champions League this year, and linked to the good and the great of Europe. But also, I would throw Alistair Johnson into that as well, who only missed 6 games all season and never put a foot wrong. Could have scored a sitter or two, might have changed the season outlook a little bit. But yeah, AJ, Scales, Hart, O'Reilly, these are the guys that done it this year, really.
Yeah, definitely. Even before we get to Asim, it looks like Matt Riley's clinched this particular title, so I'm sure he'll be delighted by that. Quinny, what's the charity for you?
The charity from Celts Are Here website is Men Matters Scotland, which is a mental health charity. So that's the one we've got.
Great stuff.
The very unlikely winner.
You never know. You got to win it. So not a very worthy choice as well. Asim, obviously you'll be busy later on doing the Euros for ITV, BBC, whatever channel you're on tonight. But a lot of folks tune in and will know Asim. Asim's been a guest several times on our show. You'll see him frequently on ACSOM on a Monday and some other things. Asim, welcome back to the show. How have you viewed the season past?
Cheers, Tino. It feels like I'm at a Legends game and I'm like the charity winner to be in amongst all these esteemed legends of the podcast game. But no, it was a you know, I've done a few of the kind of after-match games with yourself and regularly on the Monday on ACSOM, and I echo what some of the guys said. It wasn't the most enjoyable season at all. You know, throughout the season, it was so much inconsistency. But I think it was one of those seasons where, by hook or by crook, we realised pretty early on that we just had to get the job done. And Brendan said, obviously, we'll see you all in May. And to be fair, May was pretty cracking. I think, you know, that's probably when we showed our best form when we really needed to, and that's what matters. And I think the exciting thing is, I think we can only get better. I think we'll make sure and strengthen in the summer, and I think the manager will. You know, we had to just get into this new format of the Champions League, so I think that's something for us to all look forward to. So, you know, it wasn't the most entertaining or vintage Celtic, but a successful one nonetheless.
Yeah, and you know, I think we could win for a really exciting, you know, summer ahead. We were chatting a wee bit before coming on there about it's all quiet in the Western Front at the moment, but I think there's a lot of Euro stuff that might be keeping Celtic's powder dry, and hopefully some big announcements to be made over the next couple of weeks. Asim, the guys have more or less nominated Matt O'Reilly as the main man. Have you got anything different for us, or?
Burnaby, I could throw Burnaby in for a rogue. It was between the two, isn't it? It was Matt O'Reilly or Joe Hart. I think Matt O'Reilly had such a sensational first half of the season, then obviously dipped for a couple of months. And I think Joe Hart from the second half of the season has been instrumental. The amount of crucial saves he made in important stages in games. You know, I remember Easter Road, Pittodrie, crucial times in the game, and he kept us in it. So, and it was just fitting the way it all ended for him. But in terms of quality throughout the season, I think Matt O'Reilly, and I think he'll actually get better. You know, I don't think we've seen the peak of Matt O'Reilly. I think he's going to improve as he, and hopefully he stays with us. You know, we've all yet to see what happens in the summer, but wherever he goes, I think he's going to go on to really, really star. And I just think there's so many moments throughout the season where he was by far and away the best player in the league.
Yeah, he's a seriously talented player. So I think, I mean, what we've kind of discussed here is that it's kind of neck and neck, O'Reilly and Joe Hart. I think that was mirrored by Celtic's own Player of the Year stuff where it was close, but Matt O'Reilly get the nod, and I don't think anyone would generally argue with that. Asim, what's your own charity of choice, please?
So it's the same one as Scott. It's Medical Aid Palestine. I've spoke about it before on the show with yourself and on ACSOM. It's something I obviously feel quite passionate about, as do so many others. And we've all seen what's going on for the last 8 months and years before that as well. So yeah, it's something that I'd like to donate for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great shout. So there's a double chance, Scotty. I know you weren't hugely confident in your own chances, but between yourself and Asim,
go on, big man.
Hopefully the money's
here. Not much hope.
We'll
get a big man on Homeboys soon, I know. Hey, we'll just complete the same.
I'm just going to give a quick reminder of the charities. I think they all mentioned they merit another shout out. So Medical Aid Palestine is what Scott and Asim are going for. Paul John Dykes has gone for young Jamie Tierney and the support he's looking for. Paddy for the Chris's House charity. Let me see, Quinny for Men Matter Scotland. Is that right, Quinny? Yep. Darren Bliss, the Premature Babies charity. And is that us? I think everyone's been mentioned. Am I right, Ryan?
Chaz Scotland. There you go.
That's Children's Hospital in Scotland. Great stuff. For anyone that's just tuning in, to let you know, we were putting up £100 to the winner to nominate or to donate to the charity of their choice. Scotty from the Homeboys has added £100 from their side. Paul John at ACSOM's done the same. So £300 will be going to one of those various worthy causes. We're also going to donate £50 from anyone who's joining us in the live comments at the moment. So if you put a hashtag Celtic Exchange with any of your comments, we'll do a random draw at the end, and anyone picked there, we will pay £50 on your behalf to a charity of your choice. So lots to play for, and we're going to get started just shortly. I mentioned the format at the top of the piece. So the first section is going to be the season that was 2023-24. There's 10 questions in total, but there's 12 points up for grabs because 2 of the questions are 2-pointers, and I'll talk you through. Lads, I presume you're fully ready to go. Hopefully everyone at home is ready to go. We're going to get started with question number 1. So, question number 1. Let's see. Celtic went to Portugal for a pre-season training camp before kicking on to Japan, where they played Yokohama Marinos and Gamba Osaka. Yokohama beat us 6-4, with Daisen Maeda grabbing a hat-trick against his former club. But who scored the only goal in our 1-0 win v Gamba Osaka? So, for this or any question, happy to clarify if anyone needs me to repeat, but I'll let you think about it for a few seconds, but let me know if you need any.
I'm allowed to throw in the towel already. Or is that a thing?
Too soon. So we've got some folks chipping in the comments. You lads can't see the comments, so just to clarify, it's only me that can see the comments, but we've already got a correct answer that's come in there. I'll move on to question 2. Very simply, who did Celtic play on Flag Day? So that was on Saturday, the 5th of August, a 12:30 p.m. kickoff at Celtic Park. Moving on quickly to number 3. Celtic lost just 3 league games all season. And this is one of the 2-pointer questions, by the way. So who was the first team to inflict defeat upon us? And a bonus point for the score on the day. So who were the first team to beat us in the league? And what was the score? Paddy, how are we doing so far? Big thumbs up. Question number 4. Only one player featured in all 50 of Celtic's games this season. Which player? Scotty thinks he's got one right. It will remain to be seen. And question number 5. 2 players made just one solitary appearance for us this season. Mitchell Frame was one of them when he came off the bench against Feyenoord in the Champions League at Celtic Park. But who was the other player? So 2 players made just one appearance all season. Mitchell Frame was one. Who was the other? So in between some of the rounds, I'm going to come to some of the guys on the show here just to get a bit of chat on what's going on with their various channels at the moment. Darren, I'm going to come to you first. So you and I spoke recently. The Homeboys done a kind of mini-series there just at the end of the season, reviewing the campaign, and I know you spoke to various guys. How's that gone for you, and have you guys got anything else in the pipeline?
I wish we were the Homeboys. We're 4 times in a podcast, Tino. No, as you say, we've done a wee mini-series, just something a wee bit different rather than us 4 our listeners listening to us talk rubbish all season. So we went one-on-one with 4 different podcasts and YouTube channels. As you say, I spoke to yourself. That was great chat, just going over the season. We also had Paul John on. He went and spoke with Andy. We had Rizzo from GigPod. He spoke with Danny from our podcast, and Tony spoke with Hamish Carton from Celtic AM. So it was just the 4 really good chats. They all sort of went in their own direction. It was like really good to see different. Like there was a lot of talk during the chats about moments you might have forgotten. There was some sort of looking towards next season as well. But it was really good having some fresh voices on with us.
Yeah, good stuff. I enjoyed being on as well. When are you guys back on? Are you taking a wee break for the summer?
So we're sort of the episodes have come out the last fortnight. I have got one more coming out, and if people enjoy this quiz, they might want to tune in to see what that is. That's just sort of rounds up that. I think we'll probably be back at some point in the next week, obviously with the fixtures coming out on Thursday. That will give us something to look forward to. I know a lot of people are enjoying the Euros, especially watching Scotland. We're obviously on just before that. Hopefully there's a wee bit more of Scotland to watch in the next few weeks, but if not, then full focus will go towards that and hopefully discussing some new signings and stuff to look forward to for 24-25.
Yeah, good stuff. Looking forward to getting you guys back online soon. So you heard Hamish mention there. Hamish was meant to be here this evening, but it turns out he's too good for us, lads. He snubbed us. He was going to come on, but he's actually in Germany at the moment for the Euros. So good luck to him. He'll be out there. He might be about half a dozen pints deep, same as yourself, Scott, out there in there for the Scotland game. So hopefully he's having a good one. We'll move on with the quiz. So we'll go to question 6. Celtic suffered 2 red cards in the league. One was Yang at Tynecastle for a quote-unquote high boot. Some John Beaton stuff going on there. But who was the other red card that Celtic suffered in the league this season? So one was Yang. Who was the other one? Asim, what's the level been like so far? Tough? Medium? What do you think?
Not too bad. I'm struggling with number 5, question 5 there. Actually, 4 as well, 4 and 5. But no, not too bad otherwise.
Don't worry. Listen, I'll WhatsApp you them in a couple of minutes, mate. Don't worry about that. We'll get that sorted. We'll move on. Number 7. Celtic recorded just one competitive hat-trick all season. Who scored that? And for a bonus point, who was it against? So one hat-trick all season. Who scored the hat-trick and who was it against? Just a quick reminder to folks joining us in the live, if you do put the hashtag Celtic Exchange in any of your comments, you'll automatically be entered into a draw for us to make a £50 donation on your behalf to the charity of your choice. So any comments you're making, just put hashtag Celtic Exchange. We'll move on. Question number 8. Of Celtic's 38 league games this season, how many did we not win? So of 38 league games, how many did we not win? I need to think of something to do with this dead air time. I don't know if I should sing or put some background music on. I'll have a think about that for rounds 2 and 3, but it doesn't make for great listening. We'll see how it goes.
Don't sing.
Don't sing. You're absolutely bang on, Paddy. Number 9. Harry Kewell left Celtic as first team coach in December to take on the Yokohama Marinos job, but who replaced him in the dugout? So Harry Kewell, former first team scout, part of the team under Ange, but he's moved on. He's gone back to Japan. Who replaced him in Celtic's dugout? And finally, question 10. Celtic lifted the double thanks to Adam Ida's winner over Rangers at Hampden. But how many times have we won the League and Scottish Cup double in our history? So how many times have Celtic won the League and Scottish Cup? Not the League and League Cup, the League and Scottish Cup double. How many times in our history? So that concludes the first round. Paddy, I'll come to you. I know you'll play me a straight bat. How was it? Tough for you or not too bad?
A few guesses. It was pretty difficult. I like that, but the first one totally got me. I'd actually studied the 6-4 game against Yokohama Marinos. I was like, you asked something about that, but no, you didn't. So thanks for that, mate.
Fair enough. I should have given you a better heads up than that. Ryan, I'll come to you just for a wee bit of chat just now. I mentioned at the top of the piece, so most folk will know you better as Ryan118 in terms of your YouTube stuff. Sellick the Thunder is obviously the podcast channel as well. What's happening with you guys? What's keeping you busy during the break?
Well, on the podcast, we're taking a wee break until everybody's done their respective, summer holidays and all the rest of it. So we should be back on the actual podcast very soon. But as we were talking about before we went live, of course, we had the big announcement that Mr. Ryan McGinley is moving on. So the audition process is now open. We're going to host a Britain's Got Talent style show to get somebody. Well, not actually, by the way, but we need to find somebody to replace him. But I'm excited to get back going because it's only been like 3 or 4 weeks we've not been doing it, but it feels like an eternity. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. And do you know when there's nothing doing at the moment, not much signing stuff. There's no even any friendlies or players back at training. There's a lot of gaps to fill. But last, I'm sure we'll be back to Celtic stuff before we know it. I see you've got your Scotland shirt on there. Are you optimistic for the Hungary game?
I would be lying if I said I'm optimistic, but listen, I've got every chance. If they go out and they play somewhat positively tonight, if they can channel what they had in the second half against Switzerland, I think they've got a really good chance. So we'll just see how it goes. Obviously, the Tierney's injury's a bit big for us, so we'll see how they adapt with that. Listen, if we go through, it'll be a great night.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, on the day they can compete with anybody. It's just a case of, can we get a wee bit more Switzerland and a wee bit less Germany? But let's see how it goes. As I mentioned at the top of the piece, we'll be finished in good time for everyone to get away and enjoy the game. So we're going to recap section 1 there. So that was the season that was 2023. I'm going to run through the questions and answers. As I mentioned, 1 point for most, but questions 3 and 7, I think it is, they're 2-pointers. So I'll get started. Celtic went to Portugal, Paddy, for pre-season training, then kicked on to Japan. They did beat Yokohama 6-4, but they then went to play Gamba Osaka. They won 1-0. Anybody know who the scorer was on the day? Hands up. Asim?
Was it Bernabe?
It was Bernabe, and you'd mentioned him somewhere in your chat. So Alessandro Bernabe.
Is a bit of a free goal from what I remember. Is it the one where he chased the ball right down the line? And then I remember that one.
I'm so delighted you've said that, because I had a feeling that Bernabe scored in pre-season, so I just put him for a laugh, and here we are.
in true Bernabe style, he ran on to his own through ball and closed down the keeper, and we gets a goal. So that's
unfair. That's unfair, Tino, because I've wiped that guy from my memory. You know what I mean? So that's really unfair.
Well, he's back now. He's back in your memory. So I take it you never got that one, Scotty? So, Alessandro Bernabe, the answer to number 1. Question 2, who did Celtic play on Flag Day, Saturday, 5th of August, 12:30 kick-off at Celtic Park? It was Ross County. Most folk may remember it because quite unusually, David Turnbull started in place of Hattati. That was a big headline at the time. Turnbull managed to grab a couple of goals, as did Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly. So Flag Day, we played Ross County at Celtic Park. Question number 3, Celtic lost just 3 league games all season, but who was the first team to inflict defeat upon us? And bonus points if you've got the score. Darren, did you get it?
I think so. I was between two, so it was that horrible 2-week spell. So I've either got it or it's the other one. I've went for it was when Kilmarnock beat us 2-1 in the league.
Spot on. Kilmarnock 2-1. Most notably from a Celtic point of view for a Nat Phillips own goal, and I don't think he lasted too much longer after that. So yep, the answer was Kilmarnock and 2-1. So 2 points up for grabs there if you got both of those parts of it. Question number 4. Only one player featured in all 50 of Celtic's games this season. Which player was that? Paul John, any joy?
I don't think this is right, but I've gone for Joe Hart, Tino.
It's not. So he missed a game at one point. He played 49 of our 50 games. Anyone else? Any hands up for the Scotty?
Kyogo.
Correct. Kyogo, the main man. He made 42 starts for Celtic and 8 off the bench. He played in all 50 games across the campaign, scoring 19 goals and assisting on 5 occasions. This one's a tough one. 2 players made just one solitary appearance for us this season. Mitchell Frame, when he came off the bench against Feyenoord in the Champions League at Celtic Park. But who was the other? It is a tricky one. Anyone feel confident in it? Paddy, what you got? We'll go for Quinny. Quinny, what you got?
I think it's a trick question, kind of. It's Carl Starfelt.
It is Carl Starfelt, but there's no trick about it, Quinny. The answer's the answer. But you're absolutely right. He's obviously moved on now to pastures new, so he might be out of some folks' heads. He came off the bench on match day 1, the game against Ross County. Nawrocki started that game, but Carl Starfelt replaced him on the 66th minute. So bang on, Carl Starfelt is the answer for question number 5. Question number 6, we suffered 2 red cards in the league. One was Yang at Tynecastle for a high boot. Who was the other? And it might lean towards Paul John's answer there. It led to a suspension for... It was Joe Hart. So Joe Hart played 49 games, missed 1 game. The game he missed was a game against Motherwell, and Scott Bain stepped in. But Scott Bain also got a second appearance of the season when he came off the bench right towards the very end of the last game. So that's your answers for that. Question number 7, we recorded just 1 competitive hat-trick all season. Who scored it and who against? Asim?
It was Maeda against Livingston.
Yeah, so we won 4-2 in the Scottish Cup. Maeda got a hat-trick. His second hat-trick, if you want to count, he's one against Gambo Osaka, but it was the only competitive hat-trick we got all season.
Was that just to check before I put my answers down here, right? Was that a 2-pointer? Was that a player and team? Because I got the team wrong. I can't remember if it was or not.
Yeah, you're absolutely bang on. So right, okay, you had to get Maeda and you had to say what game it was.
Okay. I've got Maeda, but I said bloody Hibs for some reason.
1 point for you. 1 point. Question number 8. Of our 38 league games this season, how many did we not win? Anybody? Paddy?
8.
I went for 9.
I went for 9.
It's
9 is the answer. Paddy, come on, man. You're hanging us out to dry. Unless this is part of your ploy in it, Paddy, kidding on, I didn't quite get that one, and then you'll come storming the last couple of rounds. It was 9, so we drew 6 games. That was home to St Johnstone, Motherwell and Killie. We drew 3 of them were away, Hibs, Aberdeen and Rangers, and 3 losses. The one to Kilmarnock we've just covered, as well as home and away to Hearts. So 38 league games, but we didn't win 9 of them. Question number 9. Harry Kewell left as first team coach in December to take over at Yokohama Marinos, but who replaced him in the dugout? Anyone there, Darren? Nothing.
Was it the man who almost sounds like a film star, Adam Sadler?
Adam Sadler. So not a guy I would have known much about. Done a wee bit of digging just ahead of this question. So he worked with Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. I think most folk knew that. He'd also held coaching roles at Newcastle and Man City. And actually, as a youngster, he had spells at Newcastle and Man United, but went into coaching at a very, very early age of 21. So, yep, Adam Sadler is the man that we now see in the dugout. And question number 10, last one of the round. Celtic lifted the double thanks to Adam Ida's winner over Rangers at Hampden. But how many times have we won the league and Scottish Cup double in our history? It's one of those ones you either know it or you don't. I only heard it by chance towards the end of the season. Has anybody got it? I know it's a toughie. Nothing doing? All quiet? Nah. 13 was the answer. I suppose a few guys... Darren, have you got something there?
I guess 12.
Sorry, yeah, I had 13. So I remember the only reason I knew it is because Liam McLeod uses it in his BBC commentary. So watching it back, that's when I heard it.
Fair enough. That's how you get these ones. So 13 was the answer there. That's us concluded round one. So obviously 10 questions, but 12 points up for grabs. I'm just going to run through everyone. So honesty is the best policy, lads. I trust you with my life to give me the right answers. Scotty, I'll come to you first. What's your score for round one?
7, mate.
7, okay. Darren?
I feel like a SWAT and it's only downhill from here, but I got 12.
Whoa. Start as you mean to go on. Paddy, what about yourself?
5, mate.
Slow burner. We'll pick up
Don't
pace.
seem so disappointed, Tino. The rest of the boys didn't want to come on tonight, all right?
Fair enough. Ryan?
Same as Scotty. I got 7 as well.
7. Paul John?
6, Tino.
6. Quinny?
I got 4.
4. And Asim?
9 for me.
9. So a wide mix here, but Darren out on front with a 100% 12. You cannot do any better than that. It's a solid start to things there. Next round, we're going to move on to Celts in Europe. But before we do so, Quinny, I'll come to yourself for a bit of chat. So obviously, you're on today representing Celts are here, and I know Craig from the channel and different things there. But you also do a few of your own things, particularly on YouTube. Do you want to tell us a bit about what's keeping you busy?
Yeah, well, I just kind of watch as much football as I can get my hands on, to be honest with you. So I do all the Celtic content I would kind of want to do for myself. We kind of do with Craig on the Celts are here, which has been great fun, like reviewing matches, talking about transfers and all that kind of stuff. And it's basically the same on my own channel, but it's just like not Celtic, because then it's just in one place, if that makes sense. It's a wee bit. So I used to do Celtic stuff on my channel, and like people would get annoyed not seeing a Celtic video every day, but it would be like a Spanish team or something would come up, or maybe an English team or whatever. So it's basically the same stuff, but just Quinny 3001, and it's just over there sort of thing. And it's been international season for me, as obviously for all of us, while Scotland are there certainly, but no rest for the wicked, but trying to do a bit less over the summer, because in season is like quite full on for me, because I'm watching Celtic as much as the next person here, I suppose. And then maybe trying to do that with another couple of teams and maybe a league or two while I'm at it, kind of thing. So yeah, yeah.
What about the new Champions League format, Quinny? Did you cover that somewhere on your channel, and what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I definitely think people have covered it in more like the detail of like precisely like the revenue increase and that kind of thing. But I think in terms of the new format, like it's going to be massive for us. It's going to be a real big leveler, because like we all know the amount of games and what it will bring. But I think the added benefit of it is that we can play against teams in our own pot as well, because that's something that we've never really had the opportunity for. We're always at the mercy of getting the big one out of pot 3 or pot 4 by bad luck or whatever. Whereas now, like, you know, there's just less chance of that becoming like the thing that makes or breaks Europe, if that makes sense. And when you look at the teams across Europe that qualified to the Champions League, like it's a good year for us to play 8 different opponents and like try our hand at scrambling together how many points might be needed to get 2 more games off the back of it.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, and it is relatively complex, but if you finish in the first 24 in this big, one league setup, you do get a guaranteed further couple of games. Do you think Celtic should have a fair chance of finishing in the top 24?
I definitely think when you get 4 home games, like we could definitely get the same. Like if you look at the teams that will probably finish in the top 5 or 6 of it, there's not, depending on how the fixtures fall, but it's not beyond a wild stretch that we could have a similar home record in terms of what we expect from our kind of team and stuff like that as the top teams in Europe. So then it is this kind of then the same old thing with Celtic is how do we do on travels? How do we do away from home? So yeah. I definitely think like on our day, and even what we've seen over the last 2 Champions League campaigns, like the last 2 are really painful, because in every game in every group over the last 2 years, like it has been quite close to being kind of successful or kind of half good, but it's just not been it. It's just not, and it's it's that situation of European football where it's you're in or you're out. You're out.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
We've been competitive. We're competitive under Ange. You're competitive against Real Madrid, but ultimately, what did we finish? 1 point out of the 6 games last season, 4 this time around, and 3 of them came in the last game. So here's hoping. I think it's an exciting format though, and could be hugely exciting to see what comes, particularly the draw, first of all, and then whatever Celtic get out of it. So, but good stuff, Quinny, and great to have you joining us here. We're just about to move on to the second round. Quick reminder to everyone joining us in the live comments, be sure to add the hashtag Celtic Exchange to any live comment that you make, and you'll automatically be put in a draw to win £50 for the charity of your choice. So we'll kick on with round two. Round two is Celtic in Europe. There's 6 questions here. They're all worth a point each, so 6 points up for grabs. Question number 1. Name the missing Celt from this famous fixture. The fixture is Celtic v Barcelona, Champions League, 7th of May 2012, a 2-1 win. Victor Wanyama and Tony Watt getting the goals. Celtic's lineup on the night was as follows: Fraser Foster, Mikael Lustig, Efe Ambrose, Kelvin Wilson and Adam Matthews. That's your back 4. Midfield 4, Victor Wanyama, Joe Ledley, Chris Commons, Charlie Mulgrew. And 2 up top, Georgios Samaras and who? So they're missing player up top. It's Georgios Samaras and who? So quite a tricky one. Again, I think you either know it or you don't. So the missing player, I can repeat that for anyone that wants me to repeat it. Anyone want a reminder of the 11? All good for now? Okay, so we'll kick on to number 2. Question number 2. How many former Celtic managers, and that's permanent Celtic managers, hold European Cup winners' medals? So I need you to name the guys involved. So not just a number, I need you to name the figures involved. You need me to repeat that? Okay. Question number 3. So this is Celts in Europe, remember. Question number 3. In September 1989, Celtic famously beat Partizan Belgrade 5-4 in a Cup Winners' Cup tie, but were put out on away goals, having lost the first leg 2-1. Jackie Jakunovski, easy for me to say, scored 4 goals in the night, famously 4 goals in the night. But who got Celtic's other goal in the 5-4 win? So September 89, a 5-4 win against Partizan Belgrade. Were you at it, Paul John? Were you there on the night?
I was in Butland. I watched it on the telly, Tino, trying to figure out what the away goals rule was with my granddad.
Yeah, fair enough. So we get pipped, and there's a nice wee bit of trivia about the away goal, but we'll get to that when we're revealing the answers. But quite a famous night. Jakunovski, a bit of a, I don't know, what would you call him? A enigmatic striker. The guy knew how to play ball, but I think he had some other stuffs going on. 4 goals in the night, but still ended up on the losing team. Question number 4. In the Seville run in 2003, Celtic beat FK Sudova of Lithuania 10-1 on aggregate in the first round. But who did we then face in the second round? Loads of good comments coming in, loads of good answers, but be sure to put hashtag Celtic Exchange to put yourself automatically in the draw for a £50 donation to the charity of your choice. We'll do that draw at the very end of the recording. So, question 4. In the Seville run 2003, we beat FK Sudova 10-1 on aggregate in the first round, but who did we then face in the second round? Yeah, plenty of folk getting the right answer. Adrian Kelly, Tony Cassidy, Smell the Glove, all you guys getting the correct answer. And question number 5. Who were the opponents in Ange Postecoglou's first ever European game in charge of Celtic? So very simply, who were the opponents in Ange's first ever European game in charge of Celtic? And finally for this round, 6th question, number 6. Celtic played Arsenal in a Champions League qualifier in August 2009. We lost 2-0 at Celtic Park before then losing 3-1 at the Emirates in the return leg. But who scored Celtic's only goal in that tie? So who scored Celtic's only goal when we lost 5-1 in aggregate to Arsenal in 2009 in a Champions League qualifier? Anybody need me to repeat any questions before we get to the answers? Anyone need any clarity?
Can you repeat the second question, please, Tino?
Number 2, done. So how many former Celtic managers, and they need to be permanent managers, how many of them hold European Cup winners' medals? And I need you to name the characters, so not just a number. I need you to name the figures involved.
I have got a query on that one.
Go for it.
I just don't know if he was... I don't know if he was permanent after Barnes.
Right. So Kenneth Dalglish is not an answer. That was one that I kind of queried to come in as caretaker. So he doesn't count as one, but absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you.
he picked up a few with Liverpool, I'm sure. So let's get to the answers. Some great answers coming in. As I say, Adrian Kelly, Maestro 95, Tony Cassidy, B. All great answers. Paul Byrne, some really good stuff. So thanks as always for chipping in. Be sure to put the hashtag Celtic Exchange to put yourself in the draw. We'll run through them. Questions number 1 to 6 here. So this is the Celts in Europe round. Name the missing Celt from this famous fixture. It was obviously that big night, Celtic Barca, Champions League, 7th of May 2012. Tony Watt coming off the bench to score the winner. The 11 was as follows: Fraser Foster, Mikael Lustig, Effie Ambrose, Kelvin Wilson, Adam Matthews. Midfield 4 of Victor Wanyama, Joe Ledley, Chris Commons and Charlie Mulgrew. And up top, we had George Samaras and who? Ryan's got it. So Miku, how did we all fare? Is that an obvious one? Pretty obvious.
I remember Gary Hooper being injured, so I remember it being an obscure one. Miku, yeah.
Gary Hooper and Emilio Izaguirre, they both had hamstring injuries. They missed the game, and Bruni had food poisoning. He spoke about it years later about it's one of his big regrets at Celtic, had to miss the game through food poisoning. So yeah, Miku gets the start. Don't know if he'd done much else in a Celtic shirt, but he can always claim to be part of that special night. Question number 2, it was the one that Scotty was querying there. So how many former Celtic managers, and they had to be permanent managers, hold European Cup winners' medals? And I need you to name them. Scotty, do you want to give us what you've got?
I think I bit the bed here. I had 3. Martin O'Neill, Billy McNeil, Liam Brady.
No, so you've got 2 or 3. So Martin O'Neill, absolutely. Billy McNeil, absolutely. Paul John?
Who am I missing?
Can I just clarify, is it as a player?
Player and or manager.
O'Neill, Biggs, Jock and Billy McNeil.
So that's
Martin O'Neill, Billy McNeil, Jockstein.
That's 3. So the correct answer is 4. Is anyone got
Liam Brady.
Wait, guys. I missed it.
That's a great shout.
Wim Jansen, Paddy and Ryan, I know I've got it. So the 4, just for clarity, Scotty's devastated with his still here. Jockstein, of course, and Billy McNeil. There he goes. Jockstein and Billy McNeil. Martin O'Neill, who won it with Forest in 1980. Wim Jansen, who won it against Celtic when Feyenoord beat Celtic 2-1 in 1970. So the correct answer is 4. Question number 3. In September 1989, we famously beat Partizan Belgrade 5-4 in a Cup Winners' Cup tie, but were put out on away goals, having lost the first leg 2-1. Jackie Jakanowski got his 4 goals on the night, but who gets Celtic's other goal? Paul John from Butlands, did you catch the score and who scored that?
Andy Walker.
Andy Walker, spot on. So he get the 5th goal with Jakanowski getting the other 4. The interesting wee bit of trivia, if anyone knows this one. So Partizan got their all-important 4th goal on the night at Celtic Park. It was scored by a guy whose son would then go on to play for Celtic in the 2013-14 season. Anyone know that piece of trivia? Paul John?
Skepovic.
So Stefan Skepovic played for us 2013-14, but his dad, Sladan Skepovic, got the goal that effectively put us out in 1989. So bizarre night for all in attendance, I'm sure. Question number 4. In the Seville run in 2003, Celtic beat FK Sudova of Lithuania 10-1 on aggregate in the first round. But who did we then face in the second round? Asim, you got that one?
Yeah, I was between 2 fixtures. I was thinking either Blackburn Rovers or Celta Vigo, but I'm pretty sure Blackburn was first. The famous men against boys comment from a certain Mr. Souness in that first leg. But yeah, Blackburn Rovers is what I've gone for.
Yeah, and some things never change. We're now 2024, we're 21 years from Seville, and he's still making disrespectful comments about Celtic players. So there you go. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But absolutely, it was Blackburn Rovers. It's a game we won 3-0 on aggregate. We won 1-0 at Celtic Park. Then Souness makes his comments, and we're going round 2-0 at Ewood Park. I think it was ex-Blackburn player Chris Sutton, as well as Larsson getting the goal. So Celtic moved on to the next round after beating Blackburn. Question number 5. Who were the opponents in Ange Postecoglou's first European game in charge of Celtic? Quinny, anything jump out for you?
I think it's AZ, but I might be wrong.
It's not AZ. I can see why you're thinking that. Darren, you got it?
Was it? As Ryan was going to say, Midtjylland.
Yeah, FC Midtjylland. I think it was still COVID times. I think there was still a half.
There's only about 10,000 at that game.
That's why I was going to speak, because I was lucky enough to get drawn. That was my first game back, and it was just spooky because it was like 10,000 people there. It was weird.
Yeah, a strange game. I was there as well. So it was Ange's first European game. It was also his first competitive game of any nature. We draw 1 each on the night. Leah Labada gets the goal. and his countryman Beaton gets sent off just in Beaton style, and he's also playing at centre half in a qualifier. So again, some things never change.
I wrote midget because I kind of struggled. Are you game with that one, guys?
Yeah, I'll think about it. We'll see how tight the scores are at the end. So we'll go for that. Last question in this round. So Celts in Europe. Last question. We played Arsenal in a Champions League qualifier, August 2009. We lost 2-0 at Celtic Park before losing 3-1 at the Emirates. But who scored Celtic's only goal in the tie? Paddy, you got it?
If I can unmute myself, Massimo Donati.
Yeah, Supermo, Massimo Donati. So he got the goal. He actually moved on about a week later. He left to join Bari in Serie A before somehow finding himself back at Hamilton Accies later down the track. But that's what we got. So Massimo Donati, the answer to number 6. So quite simply, there was only 6 points up for grabs in that round. We'll run through everyone just to get their scores. Asim, what did you get for that one?
5 out of 6 for that one.
Okay, Quinny?
2.
2. Paul John?
4.
4. Ryan?
Same as Paul John, big 4 there as well.
Big 4. Paddy?
5 on that one, T. Bit better.
Back on track.
A wee bit.
Darren?
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. And Scotty?
4 as well, mate. 4 as well. I should be shot for getting that jokes team hang rang, but yeah.
The Homeboys will never forgive you, mate.
Bunch of idiots anyway.
I'll give you the tallies as it goes in no order at all. Paddy's currently got 10. Darren's out on front on 16. Asim on 14. Paul John 10. Ryan 11. Quinny on 6. And Scotty on 11. Lads, it's all to play for. Get into the final round. Before we get into the final round, Paul John, I want to come to yourself. I know you guys have been doing some exciting things over the last 3-4 weeks. You're doing a new show. This is ACSOM, I think it's called, on a Friday night. Want to tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, it's been good fun. Tino, big shout out to all the stuff you've been doing, by the way. I think that series you had was amongst the best stuff I've ever watched on YouTube, Celtic related. So
Right.
Once a week, just getting a Celtic-minded guest in. We've started off with a few ex-players, but we'll have, Bernard Ponsonby, for example, is going to come along, some musicians, movie directors and all that stuff. Just talk about their Celtic, not just their Celtic story, but also bringing it right up to the topical discussion points as well, Tino.
Yeah, you had Tosh McKinley on Friday, and by all accounts, a great laugh. I've not caught it just yet. Is it worth tuning in?
He's a funny guy. Honestly, he is, and he loves a bit of the crack. And I think with Tosh as well, just one of the guys that was just Celtic through and through. We should have signed him earlier than we did. Thank God Tommy Burns did, because obviously he crosses the ball in for Pierre, 95. One of the worst games of football I've ever been at, but one of the most important victories. So he's great. He's absolutely brilliant.
I noticed that just for a change, he had a 3-piece suit on. It's unlike him.
I know, it's superb. Honestly, it's like the Great Gatsby or something. But he had been up at the Celtic Foundation taxi appeal. It came straight up and done the interview straight off the bat. So I really appreciate that. But he put us all to shame. We were all in just the casual gear,
And I think he was either in Cork or somewhere similar last night as well at a supporters function. I think he does some great stuff behind the scenes, and by all accounts, a great guy. So between that and the various other shows, definitely something to tune into. Asim, you've been part of at least a few of the recordings. How have you enjoyed speaking to the Celtic legends?
No, it's been brilliant. But the Tosh one I watched the other day, I would say it's the best one yet. It was really good. He's on great form, and I don't know what that says for the fact that it's the one that I've not been on was probably the best one yet. But no, Tosh he's great crack. He was actually sat in front of me at the cup final, and he lives and breathes it. He was honestly, you could see it. He was just shouting for every free kick. He was up swearing. He was right in amongst it. But it was a really good watch. But no, I've enjoyed it. It's been 4 great guests now. We had Jackie Mack, Simon Donnelly, Bobby Pettit was great chat as well. And it's great listening to their kind of stories and just how things were different back in their day to how it is now. And as Paul John says, it's topical as well because you get some great insight and what it's like to be a Celtic player playing under that kind of pressure. Bobby Pettit was really good for that, just talking about how it can be difficult in your first season as a winger, and we all remember that's what it was like for Bobby until he had his kind of breakthrough second season. And that you can then relate that to kind of current players, because we've obviously got a few wingers ourselves who at the moment haven't set the header alight. So it gives you a bit of encouragement that there's maybe still some hope. But not really enjoying the show, really enjoying the format, and hopefully some more great ones to come.
Yeah, do you know, I've seen some of the clips on socials, and all of these guys have just got, it's just the insight, isn't it? They were part of the inner sanctum, in dressing rooms with guys like Martin O'Neill and Larson and Sutton. Obviously, Tosh McKinley, Asim, famously gives Henrik Larsson a black eye. I think just before we played Rangers in that huge stop in the 10 season. I presume that comes up in the chat, does it?
It does, yeah. I won't give too much away. It's worth a listen, but it's interesting because obviously we spoke with a few of the guys from that time, like Jackie as well, and it's mad in it when you think back, like of all the players to do it to, the King of Kings. But Tosh jokes about it as well, and I think it was one of those that he mentions that it wasn't anything personal. It was just the kind of air around the kind of pitch at that time, and it was almost like a sign of the care and passion that they all had. But obviously things can get out of hand at times. But yeah, it's stories like that are really fascinating when you hear it firsthand from these ex-Celts.
Yeah, and you hear guys like Jackie and others talking about that dressing room was just full of leaders and full of really competitive guys, and I think that's the chat I've got from it. Tosh, it wasn't personal, it was just guys wanting to win, wanting to do everything they could to win the league. So, no, it's another great one to add to the roster there, and we'll look forward to more episodes from yourself, Paul, John, and the guys at ACSOM. We'll move on, folks, to the last round, so all to play for, round 3, if you know your history. Again, there's 6 questions here, and it's simply a point per question. So we'll start off with number 1.
This is where Paul John's going to come into his own.
Do you know, number 1 might be right up his street because it contains a quality street gang member. I know that's something that he spent a bit of time on. So Danny McGrain signed for Celtic in May 1967, biggest month in the club history. He went on to make over 650 appearances for the club, picking up 62 Scotland caps along the way. But how many league goals did Danny McGrain score in 17 seasons as a Celtic player? I know it's a toughie. Paddy, you're giving me that look. I know. It's a tough question, but how many goals, league goals, did Danny McGrain score in 17 seasons as a Celtic player? That is a tough one. We'll move on to number 2, and it's a quote. So who said this of Jimmy Johnson? One player who sticks in my mind is the little red-haired winger, Jimmy Johnson. He had such skill and was the kind of player I always enjoy watching. So just to repeat, one player who sticks in my mind is the little red-haired winger, Jimmy Johnson. He had such skill and was the kind of player I always enjoy watching. Another tough one. Again, it's one of those ones you either know it or you don't. We'll move on. Number 3. Name the only Celtic player to have played in a World Cup final. So not manager. Wim Jansen doesn't count. I think he played in 2, 74 and 78. But who's the only Celtic player to have played in a World Cup final? I can see Asim smirking. He thinks he knows it. Okay. Number 4. And take a wee bit of time over this one. Celtic won just 4 trophies from the start of the 1989-90 season until the end of the 99-2000 season. So 10 full seasons, but Celtic won just 4 trophies. So it's from the start of the 89-90 season until the end of the 99-2000 season. I need you to name the 4 trophies and the seasons they were won. I've touched on 1 or 2 in the recording so far.
Give me the years again, please, mate.
Yep. So 89-90 season. Call it the Jakanowski season if you want. And the final, the end of the 99-2000 season. So I need all 4 trophies during that time. It's only worth 1 point. So take your time over that if you need to. Some great answers coming in as well. We've got P. McLaughlin, we've got Sean Boost, we've got Colin Rogers, Adrian Kelly, Joseph Agnew. Lots of great answers coming in. Be sure to put Celtic Exchange, hashtag Celtic Exchange, along with any answers. That puts you in the draw for 50 quid to the charity of your choice. I'll move on to the penultimate question. James Forrest is now Celtic's 2nd most decorated player after Bobby Lennox. But how many trophies has your number 49 won? Quinny, I maybe seen an article on the Celts Are Here website about it. Certainly one of the sites put something out. It was basically a running order of all the latest. And yeah, incredibly, James Forrest finds himself 2nd behind Bobby Lennox but how many trophies has James Forrest won as a Celtic player? Smell of Glove is spot on with his answer. Jamie O'Kane's a bit out. Sean's a bit out. Maestro 95, spot on with your 4 trophies. All good answers coming in. Tony, you're just a bit out with your guess there. P. McLaughlin, you're spot on. We'll go to the last question, folks. So Willie Maley played in Celtic's first ever game as we beat Rangers 5-2 on the 28th of May, 1888. He then became our first ever manager on the 3rd of April, 1897. But how long, how many years was he Celtic manager for? And again, it's a toughie. I know it's a toughie, but it's one of those, if you know your history type things. Mazar, spot on with your answer. Maestro, spot on. So that rounds things up, lads. We'll go to the answers just shortly. Paddy, how are you getting on in general? Were you struggling?
Mixed in that one. Mixed in that. A few that I was, I'm okay
It's the
with
pain.
that.
It's the pained expression on your face that led me to ask. Well, Paddy, obviously I've jumped around there, spoke to the various guys on what they've been doing over summer and keeping themselves busy. We've been on a break ourselves at the Celtic Exchange. You're still off for another week or two before getting back to it, but you're looking forward to getting back into all things Celtic?
I was ready for the break, to be honest, after that season, and I think everyone was happy to try and catch up with their bank balance. I think it was just one celebration after the other. Such an exciting month after the victory at Hearts. I think there was a real momentum that we took from that game, the 3-0 game, that we just knew that this team had a bit about themselves to go and just push through to the end. So I was really happy after the Scottish Cup final I could get a bit of a breather. But I'm really enjoying the Euros, but I'm missing Celtic already. And you know, there's a lot of our fans that are kind of jumping on there's no news, there's no word about anything happening. I quite like it. I quite like how quiet we've been, and I quite like how our PR team are going about their business with some of the stuff lately as well, on the socials as well. And I'm just looking forward to when the team come back, when our manager comes back for a holiday. I think that's when we'll see things really kick in. I do think it's Rodgers' transfer window this summer, I really do. And that's why things have been kept quite quiet as well. So, excited and can't wait for next season already.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know, we're not even a month out from the cup final, so that was 25th of May. We're 23rd of June just now, so not even a month, but it's long enough without Celtic, isn't it? Paddy, just a quick one. Who would be, or what position would be your absolute priority? Obviously, we need a goalkeeper, but goalkeeper aside, where do we really need to bolster things at Celtic Park?
I think for me, we need to tighten up at centre half and left back this summer. It's not to take anything away for the guys that have been there for the last few seasons, and Greg Taylor gets a special mention for me for the run in there. I thought he was he just played for the jersey. I think all the nerves that you kind of see with Taylor sometimes when the going gets tough just seem to dissipate, and he was solid for us in the running. But I think he needs a bit of support now. I think we need someone a bit more level-headed going into Europe. So left back and left-sided centre half for me is crucial.
Yeah, let's see what we do over the next few weeks. Okay, let's get to the answers for the final round. So it's if you know your history, 6 questions on Celtic history. Number 1, Danny McGrain signed for Celtic May 1967. He went on to make over 650 appearances for the club, picking up 62 Scotland caps along the way. But how many league goals did Danny score in 17 seasons as a Celtic player? Paul John, I know it's a toughie. I know it's a favourite era of yours. I'm sure Danny was a favourite player, but what have you got?
I don't think he scored 10. I'm going to say 8.
He scored 8 goals in total for Celtic, but only 4 were in the league, which is bizarre given... I can see Scotty's got it. Given the amount of times he spent in the opposition box, he was obviously an overlapping fullback, and he was so marauding and so attack-minded. You know, a kind of Kieran Tierney before Kieran Tierney, if you like. But yeah, not a man that was famed for his goal scoring. So 4 league goals. I know Scotty got it. Anyone else get that? I know it's such a tough question. No, so Scotty seems to have pipped you all there with that one. So 4 goals for Danny McGrain in 17 seasons.
100% guess. 100% guess. Not a Scooby-Doo, man.
You could have faked that. You could have kidded on you were some sort of Celtic guru, but not to worry. Question number 2. Who said this of Jimmy Johnson? One player who sticks in my mind is a little red-haired winger, Jimmy Johnson. He had such skill and was the kind of player I always enjoy watching. Anyone got that?
Is it by any chance, and I'm getting this off TikTok, right? Is it Robert Duvall?
No, there is a Duvall one. There is a Duvall one who was, I think Duvall's quote, Duvall was speaking to a taxi driver who said, Jimmy's the main man or something like that.
Bugger.
Not a bad guess. Anyone else get any other guesses just for fun?
I totally guess Johan Cruyff.
I'm going for the same as Brian.
Eusebio for Darren. What do you say, Paul John?
Di Stefano.
I mean, you're in the right area to be picking these kind of guys, but it was Pele. So Edson Arantes do Nascimento, otherwise known as Pele, one of the greatest players of all time. Speaking about the man voted the greatest Celt of all time. So Pele.
Tino, that was a great question. An absolute, I love that. It's a brilliant question.
Use it for your next Homeboys quiz. That's a gift from me to you, mate. Question number 3. Name the only Celtic player to have played in a World Cup final. So managers don't count. Wim Jansen doesn't count. Scotty, you seem to think you've got it?
Edson Braithwaite.
Correct. So Edson Braithwaite, he was a lone player in Tony Mowbray's season. I think he played the second half of the 2009-2010 season. He then goes to the World Cup and finds himself coming off the bench against Spain for the Netherlands in the 2010 World Cup. So yes, absolutely.
I'm going too far to say he was howking for Sellick. I know he was rotten.
He wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. So he's the only man. I think a few folks, I've seen folks guessing Juninho for that kind of question, but not at the moment, as it stands, and it might remain for a while, Edson Braithwaite, the only Celtic player to play in a World Cup final. Question number 4. Celtic won just 4 trophies from the start of the 1989-90 season until the end of the 99-2000 season. So 10 full seasons, but just 4 trophies. Can you name the 4 trophies in the season they were won? Asim, you want to have a crack at that?
The 95-96 Scottish Cup, Pierre header. No, was that the wrong year?
94-95 Scottish Cup.
That's it.
You're right. In theory, you're right. What's the next ones?
The League and League Cup double under Wim.
Yeah.
97-98.
Yeah.
And then the League Cup, I think it was against Aberdeen under Kenny Dalglish when he was an interim charge. So 99-2000.
Who scored the goals, big man?
Who was it? 2-0. It was
2 legends of Celtic.
Reset.
Vida Reset.
Tommy Johnson.
Scotty, who made you question master?
Sorry, mate. Sorry, man.
Do I not get that point then?
My apologies.
Asim, I'm going to give you that point. Has anyone got an issue with that? I think I'll give you that one. I think it's close enough. It's right enough. So just to clarify, it was 4 trophies in those times. 94-95 Scottish Cup. Obviously, Paul John mentioned it. It's Tosh McKinley crossing for Pierre. And it's the 97-98 League Cup and League Double under Wim Jansen. And then 99-2000, Kenny Dalglish is interim manager. We won the League Cup against Aberdeen. So 4 trophies in 10 seasons. Very different days nowadays. Question 5. James Forrest is now Celtic's second most decorated player after Bobby Lennox. But how many trophies has your number 49 won? Ryan, what are you going with?
If I can find the unmute button. I couldn't remember the exact number for the life of me, so it is a bit of a stab in the dark. It's just completely gone from mind. I've said 22. I don't know if it's right.
It's very close, but it's a bit short. Quinny, did you get it?
I went for 24.
Bang on. You've got it.
Stuck between the two. I knew it was an even number. So it was 22 and 24. That's annoying.
Whether it was a guess or not, Quinny, I'm not sure, but you still get the points regardless. So 24 trophies for James Forrest. Phenomenal stuff. Bobby Lennox on 25. Billy McNeil is on 23, and Calmac and Bruni are both sitting on 22. There's every chance, of course, that Calmac then goes on to overtake everybody in the next few seasons, but let's see how it goes. Final question of the night. Willie Maley played in Celtic's first ever game as we beat Rangers 5-2 on the 28th of May, 1888. He then became our first ever manager on the 3rd of April, 1897. But how long was he Celtic manager for? Is anyone confident in that one? Darren, what did you go with?
I went for 35.
A wee bit light. Anyone else? Anything? Paddy?
I thought about it finishing in 1935, so I went for 38.
So he finished in 1940. He was replaced by Jimmy McStay, great uncle, of course, of Paul McStay. He retired, Willie retired in February of that year at the age of 72 after 43 years as Celtic manager. So it's a hell of a question. And I know that a few of the questions I've pitched tonight have just been, you either know it or you don't. You know, it's just one of those ones that's either in your head or not. But 43 years as Celtic manager. But that rounds up the quiz, lads. We now need to get to the all-important scoring so we can find out who the big winner is for this evening. I'll come to you first, Scotty. How did you fare in that round?
10, mate.
10 out of 6.
3.
3, okay. 3. So that's a total score of 14, Scotty. Darren, what about yourself?
3 out of 6 as well.
3 out of 6. So that puts you on 19. That might be enough to win it. Let's see. Paddy, what about yourself?
3, Tino.
3, Paddy. That's 13 for yourself. Ryan?
Embarrassingly, my worst round yet. Only the one. Just
only the one.
Only the one.
That's you currently in the wooden spoon position, Ryan, on 12.
Ah, great.
Sorry,
Fantastic.
mate. Sorry, mate. Paul John?
3.
3. So it puts you in 13. Quinny?
2.
2. Sorry, Quinny, you've taken over as the wooden spoon guy on 8.
Yeah. After round 1, I think that was done.
We'll just not tell Craig about this. We can just keep this between ourselves and the hundreds of people that are currently watching. And it'll be our secret.
I hate to revel in your misery, Quinny, but thank you. Thank you so much.
And Asim, finally, your own tally. Now, hold on, this could be close. So Darren's got 19. Before this round, Asim had 14. A perfect round would give you 20. Oh. And I've been kind to you in one of the cup ones. This could be controversial. But what did you get?
I got a 3. I got a 3, so well done, Dan.
An honest man. So Asim finished on 17, but the big one on the night is Darren from the Four Tims podcast on 19 points. Darren, well done.
Thanks very much. As I say, that first round, I think that was the only sort of went downhill from there, but just because I've been editing reviews of the season, I was perfect on 23, 24, stuff like that. Starfelt on goal in the first game sort of reminded me of his only appearance. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Darren, give us a quick reminder. It's the Bliss charity that you're going to donate to. So a reminder here that us at the Celtic Exchange, we'll pitch in £100. Scotty and the guys at Homeboys, another £100. Paul, John and ACSOM, another 100 to make it £300 in total. So tell us just a wee bit about that charity.
Yeah, so as I say, Bliss is a charity for babies that are born either premature or they're born sick. So as I said at the start of the show, my wife, she works in a neonatal unit, and so she sees firsthand. So I hear some sort of like really poorly babies, and like the support that this charity gives them and their families, and just it's just for me, it's a really worthwhile cause. Like the charities that were mentioned, every one of them was worth a donation, but Bliss is one that's really quite close to me. I've just got a 3-month-old baby as well, so like if I know if it had time to her it, like how much we would have needed support, and they just do some great work. Amazing, great to hear, Dan. So we'll get that money, myself, Scott, and Paul John. We'll get together. We'll get the £300, and we'll send it in your name to the Bliss charity, and brilliant stuff. I'd mentioned at the top of the piece that we'd also contribute £50 from ourselves to one of the viewers. We've done a draw there. You might have seen it come up on screen, but Celt88 has been the winner there. So £50 to the charity of your choice. Celt, if you want to just drop me a note, Tino at thecelticexchange.com. We'll get that arranged and we'll get that money across to you. Listen, folks, obviously there's a big Scotland game coming up and I won't want to keep you too much longer. A huge thank you, though, from me personally to everyone that's taken part tonight. Most of all, it's been good fun. You know, good to kind of catch up with the various other guys across the various Celtic channels. And of course, congratulations to Darren, the big winner on the night. Personally, a big thanks to Scotty and Paul John as well for adding to that and what's a really worthwhile cause. But that wraps things up on the big Celtic end of season quiz. Likewise, congratulations to Celt88. He's won £50, so he's joining Darren in the winners enclosure. A massive thanks to everyone who took part here tonight, both here and at home. And please do check out everything the guys are doing across the various podcasts, YouTube channels and blogs in the coming weeks as we count down Celtic return to action. We'll be back with the Celtic Exchange Weekly tomorrow night. But in the meantime, go enjoy the Scotland game. We'll catch you guys very soon.